And
there
we
we
are
go.
live, and two of the three of us are here on time.
Yes.
I'll let you guess who's not. Timothy, Tim, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing so good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And do you have a copy of your book handy?
Yes, I have both.
All righty.
First one, Platinum Tinted Darkness.
I hope
Beard. Hey, Beard. It's so weird seeing Beard like not in the actual interview.
I know. And if you saw one of these without El Montague in the chat, then you'd also feel weird because he's in every chat. Yes, we didn't trash you at all. We were saying kind things.
Wait 30 seconds, man.
Nope. You should
welcome.
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. And this is I'll start over since you got here, but this is the first one in this hardcover glory. And this is Tears of the Maelstrom, which has the Lizard Man on it. Tempest, for anyone who's familiar with the books at all. And while we're looking at books, I want to show Becoming a Druid, which we had a
brand new, never been opened.
Yes,
that's right. Hit a walkie table and needed something for it.
Yes, Graham the Druid. And no matter what, forget what the author says, it's Graham the Druid.
Right, the author doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
This is true. So you have a third book coming out in how many days?
It's set for August 9th.
Oh, it's August 9th. I was thinking it's next month. My bad.
Oh, actually, there's two, so that's why you're confused. I got a little. This first one's a novella. There's not much information on that yet because I'm waiting on the cover.
Yeah.
But that one was supposed to be much later in the year. But you know Baby Bow, right, with the novellas?
Yeah.
They changed their rules to last year. You could submit up to August and be good. This year, July 31st is the final date to qualify. So I made it July 31st because it's really not ideal to have two releases within 2 weeks of each other, but whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
We're doing it live,
So that's Spacebow. They still haven't said when it's going to be open, but it's going to be July or August. So I just okay, July 26th. I'm publishing my book then because I want to be in Spacebow. So
yeah.
it may change.
That's because I was really hoping for August, or not August, September, because you want to spread them out. But hey, listen, you do what you got to do. It was kind of worked out that my cover artist was super booked because this one's been written forever. It's been ready to go, but it's just no cover, so can't really.
What you got to do is kind of the slogan of indie authors. I think that's.
Oh, it really is.
That's what we should have on our challenge coins: is you do what you got to do.
And it's funny how because you have a lot of books out at this point, and I mean you know how it's like it never goes to plan. There's always a really solid we're all adults here, we're all professionals. It doesn't work out. Something goes wrong every single time.
Yeah.
You know what though, man? I think it was like the last book I put out where I just kind of realized I don't have to put this out ever, much less on some arbitrary deadline that I've set up in my head. Right?
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
You absolutely do. Are you telling me that's false?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you.
But this is the first time I put a pre-order up, but there's no actual EPUB, so I felt kind of dangerous doing that. But I think it's going to work out.
Well, yeah, if you're going to put up a pre-order or something, and you've got people who are expecting it, then yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. I'm optimistic. It's funny because the release day for the first book was one of the most stressful experiences in my life, just because you don't know what's going to happen. Anything goes.
Is Herman a friend of yours? And if you read his comment, is he still a friend of yours?
I don't. Yeah, he could be my friend. That's cool. I think he's talking to you, honestly.
I don't think he's talking to me.
Hey, Timothy, I'm sorry. I've got to ask Mike a question because I'm seeing something different here.
Yeah.
In the chat, Mike, I'm seeing this thing that says, can't post comments to some destinations. And then where I do normally post comments, I can either post as Bald&Balding or all destinations. What the hell is that about?
So this is the first time. Tim is our test case here. We're simulcasting on Twitter, on my Twitter account.
Oh, cool. I didn't know you could do that.
I saw a couple people, their things came on, so
I will put that back to all then.
So, there we go. Herman was talking about red.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing.
That's fine. You can
I need
take
my hair. Once I lose that, I really don't got a whole lot else going on in the face department. So I mean, the hair's
I
kind
got
of.
bad news for you, Timothy.
if you want a tattoo to go on a bald head.
Yes. Promote your bloody tattoo, man. Get it out there.
If it ever starts coming off, you're gonna see me wearing a hat. I'm gonna be the hat guy. Yeah.
So
We're still
I
at
told
247 though, Mike.
if we get to 500 by the end of the year, Tim, I told people I will get this tattoo, and that will be the placement of it.
That is awesome. I mean, I don't know how you don't already have 500. You have a great channel. People are really missing out.
Thank you.
So
I think you got to yell at him more. That's really the way. Like, that's his beard still here. He just yelled at people until he got 1,000. It was the perfect strategy.
But you got to have those people there to yell at. You see.
That's true.
We don't want to yell
I
at
give
these
him a
people.
lot of credit.
I mean,
Beard,
we can't yell at Tim McKay. He's Canadian. He's too nice. I mean, you just feel bad if you yell at Canadians.
Speaking of Tim, I got his
Yell at
Rise of Dreska. I'm waiting on the main one's coming out fairly soon, I think. I feel like I've asked this question so many times. I just have no memory.
So, what gave you the idea for your series?
It's just one of those things I've always had in my mind. I always pictured it as a video game. And if you've read the book, you've kind of probably picked that up because it's very video. It's not lit RPG. I had no idea what that was when I started writing. But like it was kind of a throwback to the old school Final Fantasy games and World of Warcraft and all that stuff. And I realized that this story is not very unique, but I had to do something creative during COVID just because it was quarantine and didn't do anything for a while. So I just started writing one page by one page, and it was crap. I mean, it was just the worst of the worst. But stuck with it, kept going, and it took a very long time, but I got it to a point where I was happy with it. And I was like, all right, this is not going to be a laughing stock for the world.
Oh, see, on our last show, I told people it's like I've never bothered if my book is crap because that means no one will read it and no one will know. So I'm like, that's fine. Just publish. If it's terrible, no one will read it. I'll take it down and no one will remember.
I mean, someone will always remember. I promise you that. Yeah, but it was kind of. The fear was definitely there because it's like, I've never. It's weird because getting your book ripped apart is a very unique feeling. It's a very kind of unique sort of pain, but you do get thick skin after a while because people come at you pretty hard.
Have you gotten that? Have you gotten like bad reviews or people just really?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Do tell.
No, so it's funny actually. I signed up for NetGalley. I don't know if you guys know what that is. I can give a quick. So it's basically, it's like the end all for ARC reviews. It's like mostly traditional based. So anytime like a Sanderson book comes out, it's on NetGalley and stuff like that. You've probably seen people say, I'm trying to find this book on NetGalley. And that's like the Mad Max of ARC sites. If people don't like it, they're going to tear you to shreds. So I put it on there. And actually, I got very overconfident because my first couple of reviews were excellent. And I was like, oh, this is a great book. This is going to be awesome. My life's going to be changed forever. And then the other side of that hit.
Yeah.
Do you think on a place like NetGalley, you get some people that have that trad bias?
No, I don't think so, honestly. I don't want to make any excuses. If you get someone hates it, they hate it. That's the end of it. That's life.
Yeah.
And after a while, you don't care, because it's like, hey, whatever. Because, once someone you have no relationship, no contact with whatsoever, loves your work, you've kind of already won. Because, like, you've done something special. That's how I feel, at least, I spend a lot more time looking at the 5 stars than the 1 stars.
EL, do you have something you want to share with everybody here? This sounds oddly specific.
EL is a wise man, so I think we should take that seriously.
I'm not saying we shouldn't. It just sounds like something you should maybe talk to a professional about, not us.
Oh, man.
So when did your latest book come out? Sorry, if I would have read the notes that Mike gives me before these shows, I would have been all right.
It's fine. All good questions. So
Notes?
the novella is coming out, I think, July 31st. I might make it 30th just to be 100% safe for Baby Bo. And by Baby Bo, I mean it's this novella version of Spiffbo. So I think I'm gonna give that a shot this year. And the third book, Age of Arrogance, is coming out, which I don't have a copy yet, in August 9th.
Tell us more about Baby Bo. That's the first I've heard of this too.
Oh, okay. So, assuming you guys all know about Spiffbo, 300 books, bunch of judges, finals, semifinals, all that stuff. So there was a lot of talk last year because the minimum word count for Spiffbo is 40,000, and a lot of people had books that were like in the high 30s, and they wanted to join up with this, and they had nowhere to, put their book in. So I forget who it was, but they actually put together an entire competition only for novellas. I think it was 10,000 to 39,000 was the range. I'm probably off on that by a little bit, but it was very successful last year. A lot of great novellas got noticed, and I'm gonna throw mine in. And I literally can't do worse than I did in Spiffbo. So the bar is low.
We tied last year, so yeah.
Yeah, we And what's funny is like, even if you lose, who cares? It doesn't really matter in the long run.
Well, exactly, because the difference between the person who goes out first and the person who wins, I mean, the difference in the books might be quite a lot, or as you were saying, Mike, it might not be that much if the guy who nearly won this year was chucked out first round last year.
Yeah.
And it's not like, they're cutting the winner a check for 15 grand or here's a bunch of editors and stuff who have donated their time, and maybe we should do that.
That would be tough to fund, but I'm on board for that.
Wheels turning.
So actually, I got a review this past week. Had to have been a young girl from England. She said 5 stars, but my biggest complaint is there are typos all over the place. Can't believe in this age of all the grammar. And I'm like, it's British versus American English. That's the whole thing. I'm like, but if there's that many spelling errors and you still give me 5 stars, I'll take that as a win.
That's awesome. That's the perfect reviewer right there. They kill you with 5 stars, and that's you can't do better than that.
Well, it's either the perfect reviewer or she just really doesn't understand spelling. And
that's 5 star.
What's that review worth? But that's still 5 stars worth.
She's my main character, Graham. So
if you give me 5 stars, you can say anything you want about me. But
you fucking hack.
Exactly. I'll take it. But one of my big typos in the first book is the word unfazed. And I spelt it UNPH, like phaser from Star Trek. And I have like 5 of those in there. And then
did you spell it another way as well?
No, I only spelled it unfazed with PH.
You're fine.
And I got a rough review, and they said, "Hey, you spelt this wrong." And I was like, "Hey, that's not wrong." So I Googled unfazed with PH, and it literally says the incorrect spelling of unfazed. And I was like, "Fuck."
I just Googled it. And it's UNPHASED. Not phased, not organized or structured in chronological phases. Misspelling of unfazed, FAZED.
There you go. Yeah. So
you spelled it with a Z.
I had the PH. Phased.
Okay, disregard.
Yeah.
That was a weird way
what's funny is like I blame Microsoft Word for that, or I blame everyone but myself. I didn't know any better.
So, Herman, just a rating. I'm still waiting on a 1 or 2 star review. I have not gotten review. I've gotten ratings of 1 or 2 star, but I've not had anyone take the time to just put down exactly how terrible my book is. I'm really waiting on that.
You're missing out. It's an experience.
Sounds like a challenge, folks. Yeah. Nice to be out there. Somebody take them up on it.
That's right. If you need it, I'll sell you a bunch. Like you said last time, Ro. Book burning. I got them. $15 each for your book burnings. Get them here.
Yeah, because I mean, you got to wonder how much they must have really hated the book to give it take their time to write a 1-star review.
Yeah. If you're writing a 1-star, you contracted a disease from the book or something, because that's pretty bad. I mean, I would have to dislike the book, look up the author, not like them, right? Before I went to the trouble of giving them a 1-star, of writing the review, right? I mean,
yeah.
See, and I don't think I'll ever give a 1-star, because if I don't like it, I'm not going to keep reading it.
Sometimes you find that thing though, Mike, that it's just like it's like Hallmark TV, right? It's just so bad you kind of have to keep watching the car crash, right? It's like what else can they do? Can they make this worse? Oh, joy, they can. And at that point,
always get worse. Fun. But hey, listen, I love Hallmark movies. Those things are awesome.
No, stop it.
My mom was watching one a while back, and I was asking her what's the conflict of this movie, and she goes, "Well, he's from the big city, and she likes dogs." And I was like, "Okay." I don't know how you make that work for 2 hours, but they did it. So,
you do it with a lot of cut scenes, and just just bad. It's horrible.
I was at my brother's house, and his wife was watching a Lifetime movie, and I just went, Sue, are they going to find out that they can't live without each other now and get together? She goes, no, he needs to suffer more. One of his friends needs to die. And 15 seconds later, it's like, Joshua was in a car crash. He's dead. I'm like, why do you watch this?
So that's the difference then between Lifetime and Hallmark, because no one dies in Hallmark movies.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Hallmark movies. I've seen people get haunted, but I've never seen someone.
Yeah, there's a lot of characters I'd like to kill in those movies. A lot of people who should die.
It would be funny if they had a Hallmark movie and they just shot the villain right in the head, and he just rolls.
A slasher Hallmark film?
No, I mean they just finally they get the bad guy, they just shoot him in the head, and it cuts to a Christmas tree.
You know what? Hallmark Grimdark.
Yes. We need to do that.
That's the best idea.
You're done decorating the house, get out.
There we go. We have a whole new genre.
I would watch the hell out of that.
Oh, we all would. I'd leave this interview right now if it was on TV.
But you'd have to know that's coming, or else the first half is going to be romantasy, and you have to get through that first before people start dropping like flies.
No, you don't tell anybody. It's a surprise, because then the ones who stuck around.
So everyone in there expecting romantasy, all of us.
Well, it could still be romantic. There's somebody gets shot in the head.
Oh my God, you would get 100 reviews in one night, and they'd all be 1 stars.
Yeah, that might be true.
So the lady comes back from the city from her job as an editor or journalist or whatever she is, back to her hometown because she's doing a story that can only be done there. And she sees the old boyfriend from high school. They get together early. She neglects to tell him that she has a communicable disease that she gives him. He's allergic to the medication, and he goes into a coma.
Damn.
Yeah?
That's pretty rough.
That's how you got your Hallmark Grimdark.
I'd probably give that
back from that.
I'd probably give that a 3.5, rounded up to 4 stars.
I think I'm just going to use ChatGPT to write mine.
Write yours. You're saying that like it's not written all the other ones. There's nothing new there. Basically, they just took the first story that came out, they chopped it up into little pieces, and they pull out bits. And even the covers are the same.
I mean, to their credit, it works. I mean, it's been on the air for 100 years now, so it's something's working.
Me and my daughter keep watching that nonsense. So.
Yeah, there's worse things you can do with your time, I think.
So anyway, Tim, we should probably talk about your books before we talk about Lifetime and Hallmark some more.
I'm loving this conversation. I don't care.
Although we have 22 viewers now, so this is like one of our high points. So maybe we need to talk more Hallmark and Lifetime. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, please. What was it? Hallmark Grim. Oh, I forgot the phrase.
Hallmark Grimdark.
Hallmark Grimdark.
So tell us about your books. The one that I told you I hated the first cover and was never going to read it, and now I have to read all 3.
Well, there you go. I appreciate the brutal honesty.
Well, I went to Catholic school for 12 years, so you put an angel on there. I'm like, no, God, no. But
nope. We
we
have that in common, actually. So it's.
I noticed
and
that's
funny. It still
people.
influences my. A lot of my names come from biblical names. Like I have a Francis, I have a Mary. It's strange how it just always stays with you.
You know what? I've never killed any of my old teachers. Okay.
Do you have a nun with a ruler as a weapon, like a +5 ruler of lawful good or something?
Well, really, the female druids are all nuns, and that's why they have a quarterstaff. They just,
Your penmanship sucks. Eat your lunch.
Speaking of nuns, one of the things, totally off subject, becoming. I feel like I was like really upset that everyone hated Grommy. It was like every page, every new character, everyone always hates Grommy.
So, yeah, well, I got stupid when I wrote that because I didn't know any better, and I was like, I'm going to write epic fantasy in first person, present tense. What could possibly be hard about that?
Oh man, I didn't want to read your book, not because it didn't look interesting, because I'm afraid of present tense. I feel like it's going to corrupt me, and I won't be able to write like the real tense anymore.
The real tense.
The only reason I do that is because I read on the internet, and as we all know, the internet never lies.
Ever.
And they said that the best way to write a book now is first person, present tense. That's what all the kids love, and that's what you should do if you want to be relevant in the future. So knowing that it's like true.
The kids aren't the ones who are buying fantasy novels. It's middle-aged women.
That's all the research I did, Ro. Okay, that's it.
And I tried to tell you not to write it in first person, but you didn't listen to him, did you? No.
Thank you, Tim. But is the entire series written that way?
Yes. Well, every fucking word.
But what I found is because Grommy basically wants to hang out in the forest and change into owls and talk to squirrels.
Yeah.
Is it like books 2?
Who doesn't? I mean.
Yeah. So the even numbered books are where it's a collection of novellas from other people, so they can actually push the plot forward because Grommy doesn't want to, go talk to kings and get them mad at each other so we can have an all-out battle in book 7. He didn't want to do that, so.
No, I like it though. It kind of feels invisible after a while. You stop realizing that you're reading a completely different tense.
That's true. It is. When I first started reading it, I was just like kind of cringing, and it's like, okay, he won't change his mind. I have to do this now. I'm contractually obligated. And after a while, you kind of get into it, and it's like, all right, and you don't see it after a bit, but you have to get through that first couple of chapters and get over, what you think is normal or regular. As I sit here awkwardly looking at myself not moving.
I'm trying to think of the name of that book from N.K. Jemisin, which Broken Earth series, I think it is. That one has all the crazy tense. That one has like first person present, has second person present, which is like the craziest thing. And
I was thinking about the other night. I was like, can I write a book in second person present tense? And then I was like, no, I'm not going to try. No.
Yeah,
no.
I mean, it's funny. Sometimes you see it, and I'm always so impressed when it works. Like there's a chapter in Cold West, which was a SPIFFO finalist last year, and it really works. I was so impressed. I was like, damn, good job. Because it's hard to get that in there. A lot of times, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work hard.
Yeah. I actually, Cold West was the only SPIFFO finalist that I've read that I liked.
I loved it. I thought it was a great book.
The ending was, I was like, huh. Yeah. I didn't see that coming, but.
Because it was like, I didn't know what to expect, because it was like, everyone kind of gave me, not a warning, but they said, listen, this is a weird book. And it was, but it's good. I was really impressed. I was glad to see it get to the finals because I feel like with the wrong judge, that would be like an instant cut. If the wrong person got that.
I think, if someone was to say about one of my books, this is a weird book, I think that would be the bet that would appear on all my advertising. This is a weird book, says so and so.
Well, I mean, when you write fantasy, it has to be weird. It can't be. I don't think. Well, like, what even is a normal fantasy book?
Oh.
Like, I have no idea. My book has lizard people talking to wizards. I mean, like, you're not. There's a lot of red flags.
I have thoughts on that, but I'm not going to name names.
Name.
No.
You don't have a hair if you won't. Come on, name the names.
No, the person has been a guest on our show.
They should know better.
And he called me out and specifically said, "So, Mike, what'd you think of my book?" And I'm like,
Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's a bad book. You're not necessarily saying it's a bad book or that the writing is bad, right? The writing could still be very good, but just the story isn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you got to kind of, if you're gonna like take being an author seriously, you got to just accept that some people don't like the book.
Yeah.
And like I don't care. Like if you don't like my book, I'll still be your friend. It's all good to me. I mean,
there's like 7 billion people in the world. I need 1,000 of them. I need 1,000 of them to like my books enough to buy them. That's it.
Yeah, it's all a numbers game. You just gotta.
I don't even know how many
people.
zeros there are on the percentage of that, but.
No. So anyway, tell us about your book, Tim, or I'm going to get you to talk about it sooner or later.
All right.
So you've asked 3 times now. We've managed to deflect it every time.
Yeah, it's always hard to talk about your own book, and I don't know why. It should be like.
So who's the main character?
So right here on the cover, you have Serena.
No, hold that back up again for a second so people can actually see it.
There you go. Serena. So she's a part of a group called the Guardians, which, as you may guess, guard. And they defend the realm from the god of death and the goddess of fear. And because they're so important, they're supposed to stay out of all like regular wars and battles. But when her home gets invaded, she's like, nah, I'm not doing that. So she immediately gets involved and it causes a whole big mess. And there's lizard people. So it's really important you focus on the lizard people.
Okay.
So much like every exercise in the military, the premise of your book revolves around the security forces not doing their job.
I've never heard it described that way, but that is strangely very accurate. So
yeah. So because she didn't do her job, though she had one job, stay here and guard against the god who can kill us all. And she said, no, my little mud hut village is more important. And she went down that track. Is that am I tracking there with that?
Yeah, it's not a mud village, but either way, it is damn accurate. So I mean, that's a fair estimation, and it causes a whole bunch of things. Like in classic epic fantasy sense, everything goes to hell as soon as the one big thing happens. This isn't a spoiler. She gets captured by the other kingdom, and they're trying to get the emperor to let her go because if they execute her, then they don't have her to defend the realm, and it's a whole mess of things.
So EL has been banned, so thank goodness.
Oh, why did he get banned?
What the hell is in his browser history that they ban him like that?
So before we thought because he would have like 20 comments in a row, and we've just figured YouTube thought he was a bot.
Yeah, but that's not it this time.
I kind of thought that was true until we interviewed him. But now it's, I don't know. It's just the running joke. At the halfway point, he gets banned.
Is it when you say a joke? Does it actually happen, or is he just?
According to him, he'll be on his phone here, and he'll come back in a few minutes and say, "And I'm on my phone now," and then he'll start commenting again. We don't know why, but it's just a staple now of Bald&Balding. If I knew how to ban him, I would, but that's way too technologically savvy for me to do.
It's funny, on all these interview shows, I've never actually seen someone get banned in the middle of a chat. I'm wondering, it's going to happen eventually, right? Like, someone's going to go nuts.
Well, with Ro and I teaming up together, it's bound for one of us will do it to the other sooner or later.
And there he goes.
Oh wow, there you go. And we've lost. Oh, there he is.
Should have done that ages ago. That felt good.
We gotta. Can you flip it back? It's really freaking me out that it's different now.
How about that?
Perfect. There we go. Everything's back
to
to
use a mouse.
And 29 minutes to get used to something so much that it bothered you if it changed. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you deal with edits then, where they want you to, like, if your editor says, yeah, you really need to change this whole thing, and you have to go all the way back to the beginning of the book and start changing, like if you ever done that, you get halfway through a book and say, this character doesn't need to be in this book, and I need to go through and get rid of him and then change all the dialogue that they were involved in and all that.
Yeah. So when I finished my first draft, first thing I immediately did was I completely from scratch rewrote the first half of the book, because it was a mess and it needed to not be there anymore. So, and when it comes to editors, I work with his name is John Oliver, and he's a good dude. I take every suggestion because I figure this is my editor. He's an expert in this and I'm not. So I mean, I'm going to take his advice. There's really no point in hiring an editor and then not listening to them. At least that's how I feel. They're not always right, but
honestly, though, I'm going to disagree with you there.
That's fair.
Because in the same way that, we talked about tonight, that people are involved in these book contests, and one year they get chucked out early, and the next year they come in like second or third place with the same book. Editors are going to be the same way. I mean, there are some things that are objectively right and wrong, right?
Yeah.
Like Unfazed. Okay. But there are other things that they're not going to like that certain thing. And if you really like that thing, and if you're consistent about that thing the entire way through, then okay. Now, in the same way that, people can put their reviews on your book, you need to review your editor the same way, right? It's like, okay, he gave me all this shit that I don't want to do. Well, is that because you don't want to do it, or because they are incorrect in pointing it out? Right. So if you choose not to do it, you can't really blame them for putting it in. But yeah, I don't think you need to take, and I don't think you should, more to the point, take every suggestion blindly and say, yeah, they're the editor, because, what are their credentials and how did they get them? Right.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. I mean, I definitely felt that way in the first book, because I was like, I've never published before. And I shouldn't act like I know more than anyone else, really. But now that I have the whole trilogy under my belt, I have a lot more confidence. You can usually tell when something isn't right. Like, there's always that weird sentence. You read it and you're like, this sentence is a problem. Something needs to change.
I see sentences like that at work all the time, where I kind of go, that's just, I don't know how to fix it. Right? Because I'm not exactly sure what they're talking about, but I know this isn't correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, Roe is actually my editor, and I
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yep. So I
would have read that book multiple times. It was a good book, but it wasn't that good.
And that's actually hilarious, because you're the one taking the author side and not the editor side. Or you're taking the whatever.
Well, I mean, again, I can see it from both sides, right? So
yeah.
I just, I don't think you should take it blind. Here's a reason for that partially, right? So somebody has a doctorate degree, let's say, and you would say, well, they're a subject matter expert. They're a freaking highly educated individual. First of all, being educated and being smart are two wildly different things.
Oh, absolutely.
So I took I started a PhD program once with an online school, and I won't say what name it was. And I was going through this course, and a lot of the people in the course were not taking it seriously. So I wrote a letter to the professor and said, dude, I mean, come on, let's have some standards here with it. And he basically told me to pound sand, right?
Yeah.
So I wrote back to him and said, the midterm I turned in, I'm turning in the exact same paper as my final. I'm telling you that now. I won't change anything but the date on it. And I did exactly that. And I still came within like a point of getting an A for the semester. And I dropped out of that school immediately.
Wow.
That's no way to run anything.
Yeah, I mean, it is. You definitely see some weird things in the academic side. Like, I'm so glad those days are over for me.
But my point with that whole thing is that, you know, just because someone says, "Oh, I'm an editor," well, you know, great, but you're also a person and a reader and all that. You're going to have the biases. So yeah, just
that's fair.
choose, man.
It always sucks because it's not like, with math, 1 + 1 is always 2. There's no debate, no discussion. But when it comes to art, it's always subjective, and that's where it's very difficult to tell if something should actually be changed. So you really gotta use your own instincts, and I like. That's why my biggest recommendation to people writing their first book is to get a ton of beta readers. Because I mean, if you have 20 beta readers and 15 say the ending sucks, I think you may be onto something there.
Yep. I always tell for new writers, the one thing I won't tell them is that writing the book is the easy part. Then you have to market it.
Yeah, that's the worst bit. Absolutely. And that's the bit most of us either fall down on or just ignore completely.
Yeah, and it's sad because I see a lot of people, they hype their big release, it comes out, it does well for a month or two, and then you just never see that author again on Twitter. And it's like, where'd you go? You put all this work in, and now you kind of like just let it off, and it's sad to me, but
I think some people don't do their homework though, right? I mean, they don't sit there and they don't invest the time in the podcasts and to a very much lesser extent, things like this. And they just get totally kind of, oh, this is not going to work, right? I haven't made $20,000 on my beautiful baby. And despite having done all this stuff, and maybe they did the right stuff and maybe they didn't do the right stuff, but there are so many books and so many people putting out books on such a regular basis now that I think we've kind of done it to ourselves, that readers now want a series and they don't want to wait a year, 2 years between books, right?
Yeah.
So if you're just coming out with book 1 in a series, a lot of people are going to be like, I'll catch you in a couple of years when I can pick up the first 3. No?
Yeah. Especially because people don't want to get burned, because I'm not going to name names, but some authors have had very successful series that have not been completed and will never be completed.
Oh, you're talking about George.
We talk Wars of Winter
all the time. But you know what? If I had George's money, I'd sit around eating pudding cups too. It's just
I don't blame him. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, one of the advantages of not making any money is you got to keep going.
Hey, I'm sure his rent is covered. He's doing all right. Yeah. He'll be fine.
But it's funny because when I was writing the book, I would always watch like the YouTube videos and all that, and everyone just kept saying no one ever finishes their book. It's such a big accomplishment. And then you actually finish it, and there's like thousands and thousands and thousands of books, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, it kind of is weird now hearing that, right? When people say that is such a big deal. Good for you. You'll see that when you start going to like comic conventions and have a table, people will come over and chat to you, and rather than buying a book, they will give you their hearty congratulations for finishing one because it's a big deal.
And then they'll tell you about their unfinished book in great detail.
Let me take that thank you over and get a soda with that. But after a while, you kind of sit there and go, it's difficult, right? But it's not hard.
You just have to be stubborn.
It's stubborn, a lot of persistence, and just kind of believing in what you're doing and enjoying what you're doing. But
and I got very lucky because I didn't know anything when I wrote my first book. I thought you contact a cover artist on Monday, and by Wednesday you have a cover in your email. And that is so wrong. That is so absolutely wrong. So I had to wait 7 months to get my cover for the first one.
Oh, wow.
So I booked it. I said, well, I got 7 months. I may as well write book 2. And book 2 was finished before book 1 even came out. And that wasn't like discipline or hard. That was just me not knowing anything. So I was able to release all 3 books in a pretty good time frame, I want to say.
So I told the story before, but my first book, I got it back. I was working on it. I was like, you know what? It's never going to be perfect. I'm going to publish. Send on 4th of July. And then I called my brother up and I told him, can you see it on Amazon? And I doubled the number of people in the world who knew I'd published a book. That was my rollout for book 1.
That's awesome.
I literally just uploaded on July 4th and said, it's live. Call my brother. And I'm still waiting for that horde of people.
Becoming a Druid, your first book?
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. I'm glad you, because I on Goodreads it has like almost 200 ratings. I mean, you've definitely fixed that problem.
Well, I've given away almost 13,000 copies of the ebook. So,
well, there you go.
And it's funny too, because just over a year ago, Mike was as allergic to social media as an old bald man could be, and wasn't having anything to do with it. And then we started doing this, and he just dove into the deep end, and he's becoming that creepy old dude who sits in his house with a mannequin, and he's all over the interwebs. That's the first time I'm noticing that, and that's kind of talks about my lack of awareness. But that's amazing. What is that?
That's Rami.
Oh, is that okay? That's Graham the Druid.
if I go to a Comic-Con that gives me actually space, I actually take that with me and put it up.
Nice.
Behind my table.
Are you bringing him to Crash City?
Yes, because we got 10 by 10 spaces.
It's like 3 days, right?
Yeah.
May as well.
And when I drive with him, I make sure I take it apart and I have the feet sticking up. So when anybody passes me, they just see 2 feet sticking up and out of the car. And, they have to try to figure out what the feet are doing in that direction.
That's awesome.
What he's not telling you, he has a couple of eye hooks on the ceiling. And he has a thing over on his left hand and a little rope going over. And it's attached to Grami's back. And when he pulls the rope, it comes up off his lap. And he does that when truckers go by.
Yeah.
Think about it. You figure
speaking
it out.
of Dave and cover releases here, that's so funny because I did mine almost the same thing. I think it was like 7 months before it was a long time before the book actually came out. And I didn't get any help. I didn't reach out to anybody. I just plopped the cover on like Saturday at 3:00, and I think it got 4 likes. And I was like, "This sucks." I don't know why I'm doing this, but that was definitely. I'd recommend anyone who's doing a cover reel reach out to some people, like Jametti, Beard of Darkness. Even I don't know if you do them, Mike, but you can get a lot of help with those.
Yeah, this was my first cover. I did a cover reveal for the one that's coming out next month. I did Jamidi, and then I signed up for a book tour. And the day before he's supposed to come out with the exclusive reveal, they released it on Twitter. Here's Mike's cover. I'm so sorry. I did not know they were going to do this. But that's par for the course for me. Something's going to go horribly wrong. So hopefully that's it.
Yeah, and it has to. I mean, anyone... No matter how long you do this, you're gonna find something new that goes wrong, and it's especially because do you work with Ingram Spark?
Yes.
Oh, then you've been down the road.
Oh yes. Yeah, I was told early on that I needed to use Ingram Spark and I needed to pay for my own ISBN numbers because libraries would just come calling from around the world wanting my book if I had my own ISBN number, whereas if Amazon gives you one, they won't. And I'm still waiting for all that mail to come my way.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know about you. I have my wholesale discount set to 55%.
Oh no, I do the minimal because no one buys it. I'm like, no, if you want it, you get 30%. That's it.
Yeah, because it's funny. I didn't do Amazon, and I think the only establishment that bought my book ended up being Amazon.
Yeah, I actually donated my books to the local library in town because my boss's wife is the one who picks what books go on the shelves.
Yeah,
and so I did. Yeah, so I did. Becoming a Druid. I did. The first 3. I did the 4th one, and I was like, well, my 5th book, it's coming out next month, and my boss goes, yeah. Katie said, you don't have to feel the need to give more books to the library. That's enough.
Wow, really?
So I got on, I checked, and Becoming a Druid has been checked out 5 times in 2 years.
Okay.
And the second book has been checked out once. and the third and fourth book have never been checked out.
Hey, that's okay. Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah. I'm like, so obviously I haven't gone and checked them out myself yet. I'll have to do that, several times. Like, it's almost a bestseller. Look, 10 times, all by me.
Those Netflix start coming out, and then you'll see it jump up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. One of the upsides of NetGalley was I actually did have a completely random, I think it was like North Carolina, a library bought 2 copies.
Yeah.
I have no idea if anyone ever borrowed them, but they're in there. So, I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, some of those small town libraries are actually really good about that kind of thing. I did an event with some local authors at a town nearby here a few years ago, and they were really cool about coming over and saying, hey, how much do you sell them for? And if they're within the price that we can pay, we'll buy a couple. So
that's nice.
Yeah, local libraries are a good place to go. And they're also a good place you can if you go to your local library and ask if they ever do like author nights or something, sometimes they will have a small room somewhere where they will set you up to go in and you can do a talk, right? And they'll put posters up and stuff and kind of advertise it for you a little bit. And there's nothing in writing that's more fear-inducing than doing one of those and being in there, because you want to set it up and be in there 20 minutes early or whatever it is, and just wondering if you're going to be speaking to like one person in a room.
That's the nightmare right there. That's one of the reasons I haven't done that. Honestly, I should at this point. I have an entire trilogy out. I should go to my own library and say, hey, this is my book, stock it.
You should also look at indie bookstores. There's one that I told myself for 6 months now I was going to contact, because they do local authors all the time, and they really advertise it hard. And people that we've interviewed have said, yeah, I went there. It's pretty good. I sold 30 books. And I'm like, that's not pretty good. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, 30 books is, especially physical copies, that's excellent.
Yeah, that's not a bad day out.
So, but I've been meaning to, and I still haven't.
See, that's a fair point. Someone showed up.
Where are you calling from, Timothy?
I'm in New York, Long Island, New York.
Oh, like the actual city. Okay. So you have you don't really have like a small town library around there then.
Oh, we do. We actually have, I'm surrounded by libraries somehow. So there's quite a few.
Yeah, but they're all big ass libraries. Right?
They're small towns, bro. Only 100,000 people.
You ever thought when taking a box of books and setting up outside your house and just with a little sign, support the arts?
Staten Island Ferry, it's free. You can just keep riding it until you sell all your books.
Yeah, I heard someone suggest you should just walk around the subway and just throw your book at people. So I've been thinking of trying that.
Just leave a copy on the bench.
Probably a quick way to get a 1-star review, just hitting someone in the face with your book.
The story's not very good, but the binding is great.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it would hurt. I mean, these things are pretty hard. They call it hardcover for a reason.
So how many pages are your books, Tim?
I should know that off the top of my head. They're all somewhere within 10 pages of 400 pages. Okay,
good. That is the right answer. Fantasy books should never go over 500 pages.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm a hardcore pantser. I don't know what the hell I'm doing most of the time. So when I get around 350, it's like I got to wrap this up. I mean,
what can this dude do to get him where I need to go in a hurry?
Yeah,
Mike, I hate to tell you this, buddy, but the number of pages sometimes, hear me out, this is going to sound weird, sometimes matters how big the letters are and how much space is between the lines.
Oh yeah, this book is enormous. I read it on ebook, and I couldn't believe how big it was when I got it in the mail. My first few books, easy on the eyes,
My first few books, they were the lines are quite tight together, and it's fairly small. And someone said, "Yeah, that's kind of hard to read." So I increased the leading between the lines and up the point size a little bit, and now my books that are nearly half the words are nearly the same size.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm happy with I don't even I outsource my formatting. I mean, I think it looks. I like the way it looks.
No, that's nice.
Little-
You can
little
do that
design on
yourself
it, so
super easy. You know that, right?
Yeah, I just don't want to. So.
Okay.
Because I'm sure you guys are the same way. I mean, by the end of the editing phase, I never want to read my own book again. So the thought of like trying to format it is such torture.
I want to go through and edit my first 6 again and turn the 6-book series into 2 trilogies. And every time I think about it, I just go, I've got other stuff to do.
Yeah, it takes a long time. Especially, I'm always impressed by people who write, like you were saying, like 600-page books and even longer. Because the amount of times you got to read that yourself, that's a staggering amount of commitment.
Yeah.
That was like when I wrote the novella, it was easy. Well, not easy, but I mean, I could read it in one sitting, and that was awesome. It was like really like if there's any typos on that book, I'm gonna be mad because I read that thing an unholy amount of times.
But yeah, you will find one though. It doesn't matter.
Oh, absolutely. It's gonna be right on the first page too.
Yeah. Well,
the nightmare is for those long books is that you're like, oh my God, Tim, what color eyes did I give him, and where in this book is that?
Yeah. Well, that's what the beauty of doing things in Microsoft Word is you just do a find. Look for blue, look for green,
Yeah, it's the little things that get you. Like there's a place in my books called The Great Fields in the Sky. And I couldn't, if it was the great fields of the sky or in the sky. And I was looking this up at like 1 a.m. I was like, God, this is torture. It's such a weird thing.
I found what helps. Whenever I type in a new character or place name or something like that, I will highlight it yellow.
That's a good idea.
So that way, if I need to find it again, I can just scroll up and look for the highlights, and that actually helps quite a bit.
Yeah, because I'm writing a completely new book right now, and I'm using all placeholder names, and it's like getting bad. It's like Prince name reaches out to servant in Kingdom Name 1, and I'm like, I have no idea who these people are.
Okay, I'm writing right now. I do that too because I'm writing it longhand, and I just have like a line. It's like person 1, person whatever it is because I didn't know their names. Yeah, that happens. The other nice thing about highlighting it though, or somehow marking it, is if you're doing it in Word, then you right click on it and add it to the dictionary, the Word dictionary.
Oh yeah.
That way, if you spell it incorrectly going forward, it catches it, right? So that'll save you a lot of angst as well.
Unless you decide to change the spelling of the name, and then it's in both ways is correct. And yeah.
Ooh, that's scary. I've probably done that. I mean, I one of my novice mistakes was having really long, confusing kingdom names. Like Alonimus has like 4 N's in it, and
Ends.
And the problem is you can't fix that in the next. You got to once you do something in book 1, you got to just live with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you can. Yeah, you can fix it. It just takes an awful lot of effort without, in science fiction, I guess you could do something stupid, but look at the MCU, right? They're fixing it. It's
I mean, listen,
it's taking them 5 years and time travel, but
yeah, I mean, when all else fails, just blow up the world and start over.
Yeah.
Like they had
yeah.
In Final Fantasy 14, it was kind of a mess for a while. So eventually they just had Bahamut come down and literally blow up the whole world so they could start over. And that worked. I mean,
or you can always do the knights who formerly said knee.
Bing, bing, only slightly high with a little path. 2 level effect.
Oh.
Yeah, now the knights who say icky, 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 kapang, boy, it sounds.
Bro, how many times have you watched that movie?
A lot. That's a great film.
It's like that was the perfect quarantine movie. Thank God that was on Netflix during COVID. I mean, that was I watched it so many times.
One of the best things I've ever seen in real life, and has made me as a parent very, very happy and proud. We were in England a number of years ago, and my son and daughter were like 7 and 11, something like that, and they have 2 cousins from New Zealand who are about the same age, and we were at this castle somewhere, I forget, just visiting. And so we're all talking, and we look over, and the kids are like running along a little hill. into like Brave Sir Robin, right? They were doing that whole bit, and it's just like,
wow.
I'm gonna cry.
It's a timeless movie. I don't care. I mean, I'd recommend that to almost anybody. It's such a good film.
So, fun fact: when I was a teenager, I was working at Wendy's of all places, and a grandmother worked there, and she's like, "Mike, I got my grandson, a couple days a week. I have to get a movie for him to watch that, she rented from Blockbuster because yes, I'm that old."
Me too.
So, and she's like, "Can you recommend something?" And I said, "The Holy Grail." And the next time she came in, she was angry at me. She's like, "He just keeps doing where he keeps chopping off limbs from the Black Knight. And that's all he wants to do. And now his mother's going to want to know what I've been teaching him, that he wants to cut off limbs." And I'm like, "It's a great movie."
Yeah, it's only a flesh wound.
Message for you, sir.
Nah, because actually, I actually rewatched the entire Monty Python series with my dad a few years ago, and it holds up so well. I mean, it really is amazing. Like the Philosopher's Soccer game is one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Philosopher's oh.
Yep, yeah, like they have like Karl Marx playing soccer with Niche, it's so stupid.
I know they're drinking song with philosophers. But
yeah, you got to share it with us now.
There's nothing Nietzsche couldn't teach you about the raising of the wrist. Socrates himself was permanently pissed. Yeah, I forget all of it, but yeah, that was.
Next episode, I expect you to sing it.
No, that's when we get to 1,000 subscribers that I will sing, because there's going to be a lot of alcohol involved.
Yeah.
Permanent tattoo, sure, but me singing, no. No, I draw the line.
What's the stipulation on a tattoo? Is it 500 by a certain time?
By the end of the year.
All right. I mean, I think you could do that.
And we're about half.
We've been saying that for a month now, and I don't think we're hitting the numbers that we really need. I don't know. Mike's not in any danger, I don't think.
Honestly, you guys got to get better guests. Like, having me on here is not going to get you to 500.
We got 25 viewers. That's like within a breath of our all-time best.
It really is. I think it's second.
Yeah,
that's sad. You guys got to work harder.
we work commensurate with what we get paid.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I had Andrew Wizard on here, and I thought for sure he would go sell it to the masses, and I'd get lots of signups. But he was like, "Oh, do you really want to do that to yourself?" And I'm like, "Huh."
Is that the night he had been up for like 14 hours or some nonsense?
And he was doing a carb binge or free of carbs for 24 hours. And he's just so low energy. He's just like, "Hi, I'm sorry, I'm not more excited." I'm like, "Of course, the one night you're on our show,
food in 2 days."
Like, there are people fasting to get out of coming onto our show.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's all good. If we ever started having authors of substance on here, though, even if they brought a lot of people, I don't think that people would probably necessarily be the audience we're looking for. You know what I mean? They might be expecting a show with a little more show with people who are a little more professional and done a little research and all that. And our premise when we started this thing was, we're not doing any research.
It's no reason to. I mean, whatever.
It's not about us anyway. It's about, you. So hold up your book one more time real quick. This is where you get, no, seriously, this is where you get to tell people to go buy it. I guess we've decided that that's the best thing, is say, go buy this book.
Yeah, definitely want to buy Platinum Tinted Darkness. And then as soon as you buy that, you want to buy Tears of the Maelstrom. And then pre-order Age of Arrogance. Although I have a feeling everyone in this chat probably already has that book. And yeah, buy EL's book too.
Buy my book.
Oh, somebody let him back in. Oh, well. So you said you're working on a whole new series now, Tim?
Yeah. I finished, my trilogy's done, the novella's done, and I don't want to stop, so I started something completely different.
What does this one take place? Same world, different world?
No, completely different. It's all different. It's
Wait, you're using a different world? I didn't think fantasy authors could do that. I thought you had to have your own verse.
I mean, I kind of want a fresh start because I mean, I just want to. I don't want to be one of those guys that writes like 30 books in the same world.
Yeah,
because I want to kind of expand my audience and just.
Yeah,
I just think it's
There's a very good selling reason to do that, to give people multiple points of entry into your writing as opposed to into your world, right? Some people
Absolutely.
might not like, European medieval genre fantasy. They might want something a little different. They might want dragons, Mike.
no.
I'm in the No Dragon Club as well, so I'm with you there.
Although my fourth book, I put a dragon on the cover because I got tired of being asked. So I was like, fine, I'll write it. It's in one novella.
Make a different. That's what I'm doing right now. That's what Mike's doing with his science fiction. Just give people a different reason for coming to see you. Do you go to shows? Do you do any? Because you got some big shows up in the city, right?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I haven't done that yet. I'm kind of.
They probably cost like $1,000 to get into them.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. I'm trying. Well, I'll get there eventually. I just want to make sure I have like a big. I want the entire trilogy out before I start pitching it.
Yeah,
that's smart.
Yeah, because I mean, otherwise it's like, hey, look at my incomplete series, and the average person probably won't care. But when it's actually done in there, you can look at it. It's done because nobody trusts you when you're new. When you're like a debut guy, nobody trusts you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to earn that trust.
I've had multiple people tell me when I had 1 and 2 books, they're like, "Are you going to finish the series?" And I'm like, "Yes, I promise you. If it kills me, I'll come back as a zombie. It will get finished."
Mike looked down at himself and gave himself a little pat and said, "Do I look like the kind of guy who doesn't finish things?"
How many books is your series looking to be?
It's my 4-book series is going to be 7 books long.
Oh man, good for you. That's a lot of books.
It's supposed to be 4, but then, like I said, Grommy doesn't actually want to go into cities and talk to people who can raise armies. So now I have to have all the side characters do that. So 3 more books for that to happen.
I set out to write a 4-book series, and then as I was writing book 3, I was like, this is done. I can't force any more of this. But I'm really, really happy with the way it ends. I've gotten very positive feedback so far. So I mean, I'm very excited for this book to come out. I think it's going to be a great conclusion.
Well, your next series, you should write first person present tense.
Well, I wrote my novella in first person because I needed it to be different from the trilogy. So I was really worried about like character point of views kind of seeping into the new work. So I figured if I did first person, that can't happen. So it's very different. People are going to either love it or really hate it. And I'm excited to see both sides of that.
So this may just tell you more about me, but one of my novella collections, they're all first person. It's multiple different characters. And I killed the main character in the story. Oh, I have got so many people like, I can't believe you killed this one. And I'm like, yes.
Do you tell them I didn't kill them? They did it to themselves because they were stupid.
That's right. I didn't do this. It's not my fault. But like Tears of the Maelstrom has a really brutal chapter in it. I won't say which one, of course, but I get like really sad DMs from people who are like legitimately upset at it. And I hate the fact that I'm like, yes, suffer. It's like it makes me feel like such a psycho, but
but I mean you've invoked a response, you've bothered them on some level, and that's good.
Yeah, and you're an author, so you're on a watch list already because of the things you've looked up on Google search.
Well, I would do all my weird searches in private mode. And then I was like, this looks so much worse. So I stopped doing
that. Hey, speaking of weird chapters, Mike, did you leave the chapter in on your book?
Yes.
You did? Chapter? Can I tell people what chapter it is?
It's chapter 18.
Chapter 18. So, yeah.
Of which
of his new book? Haley Traveler, Chapter 18, is Mike's foray into something a little different. It is awkward and uncomfortable. And
I can give a little bit of a spoiler, Ro. So my main character, who's a teenager, goes to the Zero G-Spot Club.
Okay. Is this the same series, or is this totally different?
This is sci-fi.
I was about to say, this doesn't sound like Grame at all.
No. So yeah, it's as awkward as you would expect.
It really is. It was kind of hard to read. And he asked me, he says, "Do I need to leave this in? People are saying I should take this out." And I got to the end of it and went and showered and came back. And and there was a reason for it. So there was a good plot-driven reason for Chapter 18 to exist. But for now, in my brain, Chapter 18 will just mean uncomfortable.
That's awesome.
It runs about 50-50. People are like, "I've laughed so hard. You have to keep this in. It's great." And then other people are like, "It's just all cringe. Please take it out."
Well, it's laughing cringe, right? I mean, yeah.
So there's that.
Because like my second book has its first like romance scene in it, and I was like, I don't know, because like my mom reads all my books, so I was like, I really don't want to go too much into this. But it kind of, it's cringe, and it's meant to be cringe, and I think that actually kind of amplifies how I like it. I'm actually surprised. It's been very positive feedback on it, so it's been, surprising.
Yes, I mean, sometimes that stuff is necessary to put in there. Sometimes it's not, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Oh, so
Mike saved his. He gave it a reason for being.
It's funny though, because like when you read your friend's book and there's like a really hardcore like love scene in it, and you're just like, damn, I really didn't need to know that side of you.
So I will tell you, EL's books, I really liked his book he came out, but he's not wrong when he says every story is about hookers or mobsters.
Well, I mean, I have nothing for that.
So he actually said his son read it. He goes, "Dad, every story, hookers and mobster in every single story." And he's like,
well, my little sex trophy. Thanks for the input.
I gotta say, if it was hookers or mobsters, I'd be a little concerned. But since it's both, that's awesome.
Oh, and EL's still here.
It's not a one-note kind of book. It's Hey, as a public service message for everybody, as it is 8:08 p.m. At 8:30 p.m., you can find EL over on Beard of Darkness. Yeah.
Yep.
And then at 9 p.m., I will be doing my first interview as the interviewee over at Nick Fuller's place on his station. And between all three of these, you don't have to watch the debates tonight. So lucky you.
Thank God. I mean,
you have an option. You have a reasonable explanation of why you didn't watch two octogenarians try to stand up straight.
So thank you, Tim, for doing your part for the country.
I'm trying. I'm glad. I feel like definitely did this for the troops.
Took one for the team.
Okay. Man. So
but,
your new series, what's it about? Fantasy still, or?
Yeah. So this one actually, it's it's not there yet, but it's only like 55 pages in so far.
Oh, so it's still in
flux. It's a woman who tries to gamble her way out of debt and then finds herself in a war between a spider cult and an archangel cult.
Okay, I'm rooting for the spiders.
The spiders are the bad guys, so you gotta.
I went to Catholic school for 12 years. I'm rooting for the spiders.
Are we to assume that she was not able to gamble her way out of debt?
You have to find out.
Because it is a really good plan. I don't know why people don't do it more often. It can't possibly go wrong.
Well, she's in debt because she gambles. So she tries to gamble her way out of the debt caused by gambling.
Well, then her luck is going to change and she can't afford not to.
I can't lose forever, certainly.
Yeah, so it's...
The house doesn't always win.
That's right.
Yeah, so he starts playing poker, and then all of a sudden, there's giant spiders and people fighting with swords. So.
Giants. No, man. Kill them with fire. I'm sorry,
So
I can't take the side of the giant spiders, man. That's just never going to freaking happen.
Well, you're not supposed to, so I guess that's a good thing.
All right.
See, spiders, I don't mind. If you made them scorpions, oh hell no, just burn the whole world down.
Yes,
Nuns
I've
versus
never seen
scorpions.
a scorpion in person, but I've seen centipedes, and those things are weird. And it's
Yeah.
like,
But you have cockroaches the size of mice in New York City, don't you?
well, so I lived in Atlanta for a few years before. I lived in New York, went to Atlanta, came back to New York. When I was in Atlanta, they have legit roaches. I mean, those things were like fantasy monsters.
So did you like lose a game of I'm going to live wherever my dart hits the map?
I did lose many games, but that was not the particular one.
Left New York, went to Atlanta. Ah, shit, there's nowhere else left to go. I'll go back to New York. There are other places.
Man, the bugs in Atlanta were crazy though, because like I've never seen roaches that could fly, and they could
They got to
fly.
get out of the heat. They have to generate a breeze.
So in southern Florida, they have the hissing roach that like came over from Africa. Yeah, it's like about the size of a golf ball, and it hisses.
Like one day, I was coming out of the shower, and one of them like touched my foot, and I like to think that I have like a pretty like a pretty manly, tough voice, but I screamed so high pitched. It was like I learned a lot about myself in that moment. It was like pretty bad.
That's what we're here for. That's the sound bite we needed.
So one day I'll tell you how I got my dog Shadow got his name in my very manly moment that led to that.
I'm excited to hear it.
Do we have time? I can tell quickly.
We don't have a limit. The FCC is not going to take us off or anything.
Bro, you're usually the one who's like, no, we're out. It's over and out. So, but anyway, I got the dog, the demon dog that I have now, and I got him. They said his name was Oscar, and I'm like, well, I'm not keeping that name. I'll change it. Couldn't think of a name. Grendel, Beowulf, going through. I'm like, it doesn't seem to fit. So I just went to bed. I said, I'll sleep on it. I'll have a name next morning when I get up. Well, I'm old, so midway through the night, I had to get up to go pee. And when I did, I'm walking down the hallway, and all something cold and wet hit my hand. And I swear I just went as I leaned up against the wall of the hallway. And I'm like, that's the most unmanly thing you've ever done in your life. You are never telling a soul about that. And then I was like, and what good would that do if it's someone going to attack you and you just get against the wall and go, ugh? I mean, what good does this do?
No, it sucks because we always imagine ourselves as a hero. We always like I did boxing for a while. I tried judo, but I can't do anything. I mean,
so after that happened, I saw the dog, and I was like, man, he came out of the shadows. I never saw him. And I was like, that's it. That's your name. And then I went and I took a pee, and then I went back to bed and slept and tried to forget that ever happened. And reiterated to myself that I would never tell that story to anyone.
I think every adult man has that some variation of that story where you learn a lot about yourself that you always knew but you didn't want to know.
Right. And one day I'll make that scene will go into one of my books or something inspired by it.
Yeah, that's the best. That's the best part about writing books is you can just force all the trauma in there. You can just make up fake people and just make them miserable.
Or you can use ex-bosses' names and kill them.
Yes, and that's very healthy. That's definitely. Have you ever run into someone who you've killed in your book after the fact?
Well, the one guy who actually I bounce ideas off of all the time at work, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to make you a character in the book. And I wrote a chapter or whatever, and I was like, well, what do you think? He's like, I would never do that. You had to change it. You have to do this. I was like, it's like, okay, new rules. You can be in the book, but you're going to die after a chapter or so. And then he's like, but I'm going to save everyone, right? I'm like, you're not the main character. No, you're not going to be the hero. He's like, but I die valiantly, right? I was like, no, you're going to stumble on a rock and impale yourself on something.
Oh, that's awesome. If you really want to get him, kill him off screen. And just like
No.
have someone arbitrarily mention them like 4 chapters later.
So actually, the one I'm talking about, he's Seafree in book 1.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, you know what? You don't actually die, but
That's the bird, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry for spoilers. But
In the book I'm writing right now, I wrote a prologue for it, and the prologue is just kind of written like a history to kind of give you a little backstory of this particular world. And there's a character named Moment in it, and if you get Mike's newsletter, it is called Just a Moment. And so yeah, Mike does appear briefly in the prologue before he does in fact get eaten by a dragon.
Nice.
That's awesome. I mean, I kind of was afraid of making it too meta, where it's like your friend's in the book and he dies a horrible death. But then I found like my non-reader friends don't read any of my work, so I'm not battering.
A guy at work, actually, he's like, can I be in your next book? I'm like, well, I'm always using names. He goes, but here's how I want to die. I want to be passed out drunk, and I want a turnip cart to the wagon to come loose from the horses, and it rolls backwards and rolls over my neck and kills me that way. And I'm like,
a lot of thought into that.
I'm like, that is gold. I'm using that in my book.
I might just think about that for the cover.
Yeah, I don't tell anyone at my job I write. I keep that a secret.
What do you do for work?
I work in mortgage finance.
That's probably a good call.
No, because I mean, I'm a supervisor, and I don't want them to be like, the lizard guy is telling me I got to work harder. Like, what is this?
Yeah. So, oh well.
All right, so now we do have to cut this off though, Mike, so people can go to the bathroom and get a refreshed drink, so they can go watch EL for half an hour over on Beard, because we're like that.
Rob, can you post the link to your interview on Twitter? I don't follow.
I did, yeah. It's on
okay, cool.
Twitter. It's on my Instagram.
I'll tweet it out after this is over.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel all the interviews fall on the same days. It's really, I know it's not on purpose, of course, but it's tough to follow.
So it's the first time I think it's really happened like this.
Oh, okay.
We typically do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because we may very well be at a Comic-Con and be traveling on Fridays, and the weekends figure who's going to watch.
Right, yeah. Not me.
So yeah, we try to do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays generally, but yeah.
Okay, one last thing real quick. We have 24 people in the chat tonight. Thank you all for showing up. We rarely have 24 people in the chat, so a few of you probably have not subscribed to the channel. So go do that now. Don't cost nothing. Just hit the little button. You can hit the like while you're there as well. That'd be cool. And thank you for showing up and hanging out with us for an hour and 17 minutes. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I can't wait to go. I've been trying to follow the chat, but I can never talk and chat at the same time, so I got to go through all that afterwards.
And we promise you that
having 2 of us, we can do that.
If you want to just see the ones with Tim, then we'll just have Tim on every time as a guest. That we'll do that for you. Just like and subscribe.
I don't have a lot of plans for the next 7-8 months.
Are you going to have a book for Spiffbo next year?
The plan is yes, but no, it's not going to happen.
Okay. So
I'm less driven to rush the book because of the 300 random rule.
Right.
So I don't want to rush a book that's not probably going to get in anyway, just by odds.
Fair.
Yeah.
So I also should have a book for that time if all goes well, but I know that it won't. So Spiffbo 12, I will have a book for.
Are you doing Baby Bo this year?
I am not. I started 3 different novellas and I've finished none of them.
Still time.
I have a book launch. It's coming out July 26th. So no, I have no time.
Nice.
So, okay. Well, Tim, thanks for showing up. We'll have to do this again when you get a book that launches. Let us know. We'll have a launch party for you, if nothing else.
Okay. Appreciate that. I had a great time here tonight. I appreciate you having me on.
And
being here, man.
And if you hold on once we go, because we're going to start taking a page out of the Beards book. And after we're off screen, we're going to interrogate you to come up with other authors who we should interview. So,
and stand by, everybody. Fairly soon, Mike and I are going to let you know about Fantasy Feud.
Yes, between the break-ins and the secret scribes.
Yep. More details.
I filled out one of the Google Docs for that. I remember seeing that.
Yep.
Can I ask a question before we set this down? This has been nagging me all week. Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
What was that 3-headed reptile thing you posted?
So I started a new thing, Creature Creation, where you start with story prompts and 4 people have to make a monster, and then I'm supposed to throw monkey wrenches to make it harder for them to come up with a viable monster.
Yeah.
But damn, if everything, it's like, ha, your monster's blind. Like, well, it's subterranean, so we don't care. And I'm like, well, your monster has to move at the speed of a sloth. Well, we don't care. It has telekinesis, can just pull things into its web. I mean, every time I tried to sabotage them, like, doesn't matter here. And so they got the most overrated. I mean, my friend at work made the hit points. It has like 200 hit points. And I'm like, I want to make like a blind flying turtle is what I hope people end up with. And they got this reptilian version of Cerberus. I'm like, man. So I do that once a month. I get 4 people on and let's go to town and make a monster. And I try to make it difficult. And apparently the first time around, I did not.
No, that was awesome. Because like I was just scrolling, like when you're just scrolling Twitter, you're kind of half asleep and you're like, what the hell is that?
So yes, we'll be doing another one next month. And I have 3 of my 4 guests confirmed. So I'm just waiting on the 4th one. And yeah, but I will keep you in mind for that if you're interested.
Yeah, and we're going to get you to 500. We're going to get you there.
So, okay. Well, with that, everyone needs to get a refresh on their beverage and watch EL and the Beard.
That's right.
So I guess it's time to wave awkwardly.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
See y'all. Thanks, everybody.
Have a great night.